Jap Nats 2016 was a bit of a bust. My lap times were about a second to a second and a half off my target. Hi, I'm Tangles. This is my garage, and this is my car. Good morning, YouTube and the internet. It is the weekend after Jap Nats 2016. Jap Nats 2016 was a bit of a bust. My lap times were about a second to a second and a half off my target times. There were a couple of things that went wrong, and there were a couple of things that just didn't go right. Frustrating thing is I made a couple of changes, like the wing and the anti-roll bars, the sway bars, all at the same time, so actually delineating how much impact each thing has without the other factors is pretty much impossible. So I need to do a couple more track days to figure out exactly what's happening where. The first thing that went wrong is the wing. The bracketry here is insufficient to hold it at speed. So when I had the wing angle set on, probably about 20 degrees, something like that, and on my first flyer I noticed it was up like that, and it had just rotated the wing, close to boot. The wing had rotated into an even steeper angle than that. That's just where I set it to get home. And that was about where I set it on the track actually, which is a massively steep angle, which is probably stalling the air. Now I did do the test, I did take this off. It was definitely producing downforce, and a reasonable amount of it, but it would probably produce equivalent downforce and half the drag on a better angle where it's not likely to stall and have the air separate on the underside here, because it's probably too steep an angle to have the air pull around. Anyway, so the wing works. It generates downforce and a fair chunk of it based on driving. The sway bars, now I went without the wing. No, with the wing I only went a tenth quicker on the sprint circuit with the sway bars. Now I really liked the positive feel of the car with the sway bars. The balance was excellent with the wing on it, as far as front to rear balance. With the wing on it, the car felt very stable. There's always the chance that the wing was going to induce understeer, and I had enough understeer last time I was at the track, so I didn't want any more. Hence the reasoning behind putting the sway bars in, to give me the adjustability, despite the fact that common knowledge or racetrack knowledge is that they're a bit too hard. I think a little bit too hard, so they're past ideal and then heading into the too stiff range, but having the adjustability of it in my mind is overcoming the fact that they are too stiff. Having said that, it felt really good. The car felt good, so which means I was terrible. I ran PB straight away, but you know, I hadn't run the Clubman circuit in the dry since last year, and I went a second and a half faster straight away than I did last year. But on those tyres with the brakes should have been enough without the wing and the sway bars. So there's a little bit of figuring out I have to do there. I think I'm going to stick with the sway bars. The other failure I had was the diff. The diff's open wheel now, effectively. It's not a limited slip diff anymore. It's now an open wheeler. Single pegging all the way. So lost a lot of energy and a lot of drive out of all the corners, and meant that under deep, hard, late braking, the car was less stable in the rear again. It wanted to, well, not under the braking, but on turn-in. When I got off the brakes and started the initial turn-in, with the limited slip diff, it had a tendency to try and keep the car straight and prevent the turn-in. But once it was over, it just wanted to swap ends as soon as it started turning in. So that definitely cost me a little bit of time. So there's a couple of things I have to do. Oh, also these NTO ones were about a second and a half faster than those, and these are, I don't know, a year and a half at least old, and many track days. Like these have done a lot of laps, many heat cycles on a very fast car, so there's more time in semis than that. It's probably, you know, another half second to new ones of these NTO ones, and NTO ones are not very fast at semi slicks. They're very durable, they're very reliable, but they're not very fast. So the Z221s or those Yokohamas I had stacked up here, which I sold without ever being able to use, will be another, you know, 1.5 to 2 seconds on top of those. So there's a lot of time in tyres there, but I'd like to get the car a little bit faster on street tyres first. That being said, the day was a bit of a write-off. Lots of things went wrong. Still a bad day at the racetrack is better than a good day in the office, so I'll take that. And I'll learn my lessons and I'll move forward. But I have to, now, as a priority, before this car can go back on track, I have to do the diff, and I have to remount the wing as far as the bracketry. I probably want to remount the whole thing. I probably need a whole new boot lid, to be honest, because this one's pretty much cactus from me. See, look, I can actually pull that up and down with my hands, and they are tight as they will go. We'll keep that down because it has a tendency to go down. Okay, so the first problem I'm going to tackle is the diff. It should be the easiest one, in theory, because I've still got this one. Now, my understanding is, and it's been, well, it was given to me and I believe it to be correct, I hadn't put any thought into it, is the centre has failed in that diff. That's what I believe. The centre is still good in this. The VLSD centre is still good in this. So that diff has 4.63 ratios. This is 4.11. So in theory I should be able to pull out the diff centre out of this, put it straight into the one that's in that car, and job done. That's all I should have to do. Now, things that are that simple in theory never work out that simply for me, but it shouldn't be too much more difficult than that. So I'm going to get some tools together, because all the tools out of here are in there, because, you know, just to add insult to injury, when I packed up, when I finished getting all my sockets put away, I picked the set up and I dropped it, and every socket and spanner just disappeared, went all over the pit. So I just threw them all in the tub in a slightly angry thing. If you didn't see my destroyed tyres video, I recommend you go have a look at that. This is the result close up. So that's the result of one single brake lock up at turn 2. Watching the footage is a little bit hard to tell. It's a little bit strange how it all happened, but what I understand happened is I locked up both fronts, or just the left. I think probably both of them. And you see in the footage the car pulls to the left. Now that makes sense to me. It pulls to the left because I get off the brake a little bit, and it starts braking the car again instead of sliding. Well, what I assume must have happened at that point is the front left has unlocked, started rotating and providing braking force, pulling the car to the left because the front right was still locked. And because I'm turning right, the car is leaning, so it's unloaded the front right and just held it up a little bit and just kept it locked the whole time. And yeah, I slid on it for about 15 meters, unknowingly, knowing I'd locked up at the start of the thing, but not knowing that inside right had not unlocked, because I was able to get some steering into the car and get it to stay on track, as you can see in the video. That's an expensive single lock up, so it was all the way down to the canvas, and so that was any chance of me not coming last gone, because 1.5 seconds just in those tyres. Yeah, it's the first time this car was on semis. They felt amazing straight away. But yeah, anyway, time to get on the diff, I think.